Hello everyone, my name is Kene Okafo. Today we shall be looking at how to prepare questions for import into Moodle. We shall be preparing the questions using an Excel sheet, okay? So I'll take us to a site. It's www.thetutoraid.com.ng. You see, the tutoraid.com.ng. So on the homepage there, you click on this link here, Moodle Questions Formatter. So we are in. Recall that there are different types of questions that can be used in Moodle. Could be multiple choice kind of question, matching, true or false, short answer, numerical, close, essay, drag and drop, calculated simple, you name it. So would begin by downloading a sample document. So I'll click here, sample Excel document. So that's done. I'll share that with us now. Okay. All right, so here we have a sample Excel sheet. Remember that multiple choice type of question on Moodle could have a single answer or multiple correct answers. So we'll begin with single answer type of question, okay? Here, you must state the type of question. You must give us the type of question it is. In this case now, it is multi. You could also impute multi-choice in place of multi. That will still be accepted. Here now, you see that rather than have a question, there is the name of an image file, map of Nigeria.png. So that's not exactly what I want here. So I'm just going to put a question. What is my, okay, no, not, that's not a question, type of question, multi. And then in the second column, I'll give the question, I'll state the question. In this case, what is my name? What is my name? The options will follow in the subsequent columns. Frank, Ben, my name is Kene. So I'll indicate that this particular option is correct by starting with a caret. So I'll do just that before my name, Kene. So that tells the system that this is the correct answer. Kene is the correct answer. And let's say Ola. And the last column here should bear the numerical weight of the answer to this question. So I want, I should have 1 as the weight for this question, 1. Okay, so a candidate gets a total of 1 point if he or she gets this question correct. Now that's that. Then this here, you wonder, why not a question? Why do we have an image file here? Yes, sometimes you may choose not to type a question. Instead, you might want a picture as a question. So you just give the name of the picture, make sure that it ends with the correct file extension. In this case here, it is .png. Sometimes it could be .jpg, it could be .gif. That depends on you. So here, map of Nigeria.png. Please take note of the name of this particular file, image file here, map of Nigeria.png. We'll come back to that. And what are the options? Ghana, Togo, Nigeria. You see that Nigeria here is preceded by a caret. So that tells the system that Nigeria is the correct answer. Rwanda, and there is a total of 4. Maximum obtainable for this question is what? 4 points. Okay, so that's that. Now, you might want a question to have more than one answer. You might want a question to have more than one answer, right? So in this case, you give the type of question. Now you could have multi, it could be multi with an M. That the M here stands for multiple answer, okay? So here, the M here shows the system that there are 2 or more correct answers. Is that clear? Okay, so when is it? Now, tomorrow, next day, next week, last week. 2 correct answers tomorrow and next day, preceded by, each of them is preceded by a caret. And there are 2 points obtainable for this. So the weight, the numerical weight for this particular question is 2. Okay, so that's that. Now, what if, just what if I have an image as part of the question and a text, that is a string of characters going together with the picture as the question. You get what I mean? So let's see. What if I have here now, let's go to 13, multi h.jpg, h.jpg. So this here is an image, that's a picture, because of that I know that because it ends with .jpg, so I know that it's a picture. But I also wish to include, say, as part of the question, a set of instructions, right? So the diagram above is that of a or an. So in this case, it's not actually a question, but something to complete the question. The diagram above is that of a or an. Now, please, you must do something here, and it's quite important. Separate the image from the rest of the question using a comma. So guys, please look at it here. There is a comma in between the image and the rest of the question. So let's take note of that, okay? So what are the options? Face, leg, ear, eye, and just one correct answer here, ear. Ear is preceded by a caret. Now there are 2 points obtainable for this particular question. So that's that about the multiple choice type of Moodle question. What about the matching type of question? How do we prepare that on our Excel sheet? You must indicate the type of question, matching, the first column of that particular row. So matching, spelled correctly. And the second column should have the question itself. Match the countries with their capital cities. So what are the options? Nigeria, Abuja. Guys, after the second column, that is the column that bears the question, you should have pairs of options. One matches the one just after it. So Nigeria here and Abuja make a match. So remember, if I have Nigeria, I should match that with Abuja. So Abuja comes right after it. Ghana matches Accra. So Ghana and Accra follows immediately after. Then Germany, Berlin, Germany and Berlin together. So I have here in this G column, Germany, and in the column right after it, you must give the match. So Berlin matches Germany. Now you might wonder, what about these other options here? Kano, Paris. You include distractors. So Kano and Paris are distractors. The very first distractor there is preceded by a pair of asterisks. So one asterisk and two asterisks, making two altogether before the very first distractor. So you could have more than one. You could have two distractors, three distractors. Just the first one, only the first distractor should be preceded by a pair of asterisks, okay? Now, the very last column should bear the weight of the answer to that question. So if I wish that a candidate should get, say, 3 points for answering this question correctly, I would impute that particular weight, in this case, 3. That comes in the very last column of that row. So the matching row here, the last column is 3. That's the weight. Always give the weight of the answer to the question. Now, what other type of question can we include, on Moodle? True, false, true or false type of question. That is it. So what's the name? For this, please just type in true, false, true, false. If you don't want to use true, false, you could use TF. That would also be accepted. Okay? So TF or true, false, to spell the entire thing, true, false, not true or false. And what's the question itself? That should be in the second column. Abuja is the capital of Nigeria. So here, you just let's say true is the answer to this question. In the third column, you just type in C, but if it is false, you type in F. Do you understand? So T stands for true and F stands for false. So I'm just going to assume that the answer here is true. So I have just a T. The fourth column is the weight of the answer to the question. So I wish that a student who gets this question correct earns a total of 2 points. So that's in the last column of that row. Any other true, false question? No other. Okay. Now we have the short answer type of question. The short answer type of question. Here, what is light? Please, guys, do not forget to impute the type of question. For short answer type of question, just type in short answer in full, short answer, okay? In the very first column of that particular row. Then the second column is the question itself. In this case, it is what is light? The subsequent columns have the answers, possible answers, to this question. So these are all correct answers. Packets of photons, correct. Column C, light beams, correct? Plenty of light. Just for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm taking these three columns as the correct answers, okay? They are not necessarily correct if we are to go, if we are to look at it in absolute terms. So I'm just going to assume that they are all correct. Plenty of light, light beams, packets of photons. Anyone that is given by a candidate is marked as correct. So what's the point? 2 points for this particular question, 2 points. The last column there should have the weight of the answer to the question. All right, now we have here another type of Moodle question, numerical type of question, numerical question. And there are 2 types here for this particular system. There are 2 types. They are still short answer type of questions, okay? Short answer type of questions, but we'll see the slight difference between the 2. Numerical, what is 8 plus 8? That's a numerical type of question. The second column there is the question, and you have UN. The UN there stands for unit none. Unit none. So just you input UN. UN there means that no units are required. That's the meaning. So if you do not wish that units are included in the grading, please just type in UN in the 3rd column. The 4th column there should have the letter U. You don't bother about the use of the U. It's used by the system, okay? So just type in U if it's a numerical type of question. In the 4th column, just give U. The 5th column there, the E column there has the answer to the question. All right, so 16 is the answer since the question there is what is 8 plus 8. The 5th column is the answer 16 and the weight is 2. So 2 is the maximum obtainable. Now let's look at the other numerical type of question. Numerical. Here, if you look at this now, area of triangle.png. So I see that this here is an image, area of triangle, and the rest of the question is a text, right? What is the answer? So please, in between the image and the rest of the question in the 2nd column, I have used a comma. It's always ensure that you separate the image in the question from the rest of the question with a comma. If you don't do that, you might not get what you expect. All right, so here now we have UG in the 3rd column. Now the UG there stands for unit graded. This means that units are an essential part of, an essential factor in the grading of this question. Do you understand? So the candidate or the student has to indicate the grade, and that would be accounted for or would be used in determining the correctness of this particular question, of this particular, of the answer to this question. All right, so the 4th column there is U. Just put a U there in the 4th column. That will be used by the system. You don't need to bother yourself with that. Now, what's the answer to the question? In the 5th column, the answer there is 35. 35. Now, what's this? You have in the 6th column a pair of asterisks. What does that mean? After the answer, you know, the answer is given in the 5th column, and right after that, you have 1 preceded by a pair of asterisks. Good, so what does that mean? This means that 1 here is the default multiplier. So since the unit is essential here now for this particular question, I have to give the unit and what the multiplication factor is. So 2 asterisks followed by 1 means that this one is multiplied by 35. So 35 times 1, that gives us 35. And 35, what's the unit? 35 centimeters. So after the default multiplier, the first multiplier here, which is preceded by 2 asterisks, you have the unit, the default unit here, which is centimeters, cm. So 35 multiplied by 1, 35 centimeters. After that, the next unit, the next multiplier and the unit for that particular expression of the answer. So 35 in meters. So I know that I am to multiply 35 by 0.01. So 35 multiplied by 0.01 meter. So the column after the second multiplier, the second multiplier here is 0.01. Remember the first multiplier, which is preceded, the very first multiplier is preceded by a pair of asterisks. Okay, so the second multiplier here is 0.01. Right after that, what's the unit? You type in the unit. So 35 multiplied by 0.01, that's 0.35 meters. So M there is for, M there stands for meters. Good. Now the third expression of the answer in kilometers this time. So guys, the third multiplier is 0.00001. 35 multiplied by 0.001, the answer expressed in kilometers. So km there, after the third multiplier, I have km, kilometers. Do you understand? So remember that units are essential for this particular question. That is why we have here in the third column, column C, we have UG, unit graded. After that, we have the U, that's used by the system, the answer, 35. The multiplier, the very first multiplier, which is the default multiplier, 35 multiplied by 1. Please use a pair of asterisks right before the first multiplier here, which is 1. 35 multiplied by 1 centimeters, that is 35 centimeters. 35 multiplied by 0.01, 0.35 meters, m, and on, it goes. So that's that, guys, for that this particular question. And after you've given all the possible multipliers and the unit for that, and the row with the weight of the answer to the question. So the candidate here will get a total of 2 points if the answer is correct. So 2 points is the weight of the answer to that question. Okay, so what's the other type? Okay, another type of question used in Moodle is the essay type of question, the essay type of question. So the first column here, you just give the word essay as the type, essay. If you don't want to use essay, you could just give it as ES. You don't want to spell the entire thing, just type in ES, but I'm just going to spell out the whole thing, essay. And what's the question? Write an essay to your friend telling him or her about your school, okay? So that's that, no options here, no options, just give the total weight for that question in the third column, that is column C of your Excel sheet. So that's that, 20. So this row 8, it's an essay type of question. So that's why I have essay in the first column, the question itself in the second column, and the weight of the answer to the question in the third column. The weight must be an integer, okay? So that's that. All right, now you might wonder, what's DDWTOS? That stands for drag and drop. Drag and drop, that is what it is, okay? So if you wish to use a drag and drop question, in the first column of your row, the row on your Excel sheet, you just input DDWTOS. That tells the system that it is a drag and drop question. Now the question itself, you would observe the use of pairs of square brackets, a pair of opening square brackets and a pair of closing square brackets. If you understand what I mean, I'll show you guys. So here, highlighted, square brackets opening, 2, and square brackets closing, 2. Now, in the middle of the two pairs of square brackets, I have an integer, a number, 3, for example, here. So the first pairs of square brackets, in between the square brackets, I have 3. What that means is this, guys, count. Now, after the second column, I have the columns of the answers. So the third column, column C here, is a possible answer, Edo a possible answer, Oyo a possible answer, Delta a possible answer. Now I'm going to count from the third column, column C, 1, 2, 3, that's Oyo. So it then means that for this, at this particular gap, having 3 here in between pairs of square brackets, 3 here, it means that Oyo is the item for this particular point. At this point in the question, you should have Oyo as the answer because Oyo is the third column after the question column. So 3 here is for Oyo. So you can guess what 4 here is, going by the options given. 4 there stands for Delta. So Delta is for 4 at this point. 2, that's Edo, because Edo is the second column after the question column. So Edo there will be for this particular integer here, 2. And the last there, which is 1. At this point, Oka is the capital of square brackets, 1, close, square brackets. So the number here, 1, means that the first column after the question column should have the answer that should go in here. You understand? So Anambra is for 1 in my question. So that's how it goes. Okay, so the last column there for this particular row, row 9, drag and drop type of question, you find 4 in my example. 4 there means that if a candidate or a student gets all the sub questions correct, the candidate earns a total of 4 points. Now, if the candidate gets, say, 2 correct and 2 incorrect answers, the candidate will get 2 out of 4. So that's how it goes. So please make sure that the last column has the weight of the answer to that question. Okay, we're almost done. Calculated simple, another type of Moodle question, calculated simple. We need to be careful here, guys. The first column should state the type. In this case, it is calculated simple, no spaces, no underscores, calculated simple altogether. Now, if you don't want to use calculated simple, you could just give it as CS. CS, that would also count as correct. That is accepted, okay? But I'm just going to spell out the entire thing, calculated simple. Okay, so that's that as a type of question. Now let's look at the question itself. In the second column, we have the question itself. Find the simple interest on P naira at R% per annum for T years. Answer is assumed to be in naira. So what is this particular representation here? Curly opening curly brace with P and closing curly brace afterwards. I open curly brace, put a P, close curly brace. That means that P there is a variable. It is a factor used in calculating or computing our answer, because we're going to make use of a formula. And the formula to compute the simple interest on an amount is P multiplied by R multiplied by T, everything divided by 100. Okay, so that's the formula that I am going to use for this particular question. So the P there is the principal amount, P. Now that variable must be enclosed in a pair of curly braces. Open curly brace, close curly brace, and in between, please put a P. That stands for principal. So P naira at open curly brace, close curly brace, and I have an R. R there is the rate. That's a variable that will be used, to compute the simple interest on an amount. So rate given as R per annum for T years. Please, all the variables that will be used in the formula must be enclosed in a pair of curly braces. So T here is the third variable. Open curly brace, close curly brace. I have a T in between. So that's that. Answer is assumed to be in naira. So we have the unit. So the student or the candidate does not need to select a unit for the answer. So that there is the UN there stands for unit none. Unit is not required. You don't have to include units. So that's what the UN there indicates. So just as we had for the numerical type of question, you just input a U in the fourth column here for calculated simple. The fourth column give the U, and the fifth column there would not have a static answer. There isn't a particular answer given. What we are to do in the fifth column is to input the formula that will be used to compute the answer. So you remember that we use some variables in the second column, which is the question column. We use some variables, and those variables would be used in the fifth column for the computation. So variable P, so P there enclosed in what? A pair of curly braces. P, an asterisk that stands for multiplication. R enclosed in a pair of what? Curly braces, then multiplied by T in a pair of curly braces. Now you see that the multiplication sign there is not X, it is an asterisk. That's what we are to use, and that stands for multiplication. Then to implement division, please use a /. So P times R times T divided by 100. So division there is a /. That's the way to write or to type or input the formula. Now the total weight for this question is 3. So the candidate gets it correct, hence 3 points. Doesn't get it correct, hence no points. All right. Now let's see another type of calculated simple. In this case, units are essential. So if the unit is wrong, but the answer is correct, it will still be marked as not correct. You get what I'm saying? So UG there stands for unit graded. The U to be used by the system. The formula, I don't have to repeat that. That's the formula to compute the simple interest on a given amount. Now look at the sixth column, the F column there for row 11. You find you find a pair of asterisks followed by what? 1. That means that whatever answer is computed here is multiplied by 1. So 1 is the first multiplier. Whatever answer is computed here multiplied by 1 expressed in Naira. So let's assume that we get, say, 20 as the answer from this computation. So 20 multiplied by 1, 20 times 1, 20 Naira. So Naira should follow the multiplier. So the unit a unit always comes after a multiplier. So if the first multiplier here is 1, then the unit for that should come right after it, Naira. So the next is it's another multiplier. So whatever answer I get here, assume that the answer is 20. 20 Naira expressed in kobo. I need to multiply that by 100. So 100 is the next multiplier. Should the student give the answer as 100, as say, okay, 20 multiplied by 100, 2,000 kobo. Okay, that would also be counted as correct. So 20 multiplied by 100, and the unit for that is kobo. So kobo will follow the 100 that is given here as a multiplier. The last column there is the weight of the answer to the question. Okay, all right, we're almost done, guys. The last type of question here is the closed question, So you see that I have the type of question in the first column, CLOZE, that's close. If you don't want to use close as in to spell everything, you just type in CL, impute CL in the first column. Do we understand? Okay, so the second column for this row, row 12, is the question. So let's see what the question is. Nigeria is /an, A or an. You see that instead of a number as we saw in the one just before this, the calculated simple, it's not a number, rather, instead of having a stated variable, I have a hyphen enclosed in what? A pair of curly braces. So first hyphen, and here again, it is a country you will love to, second hyphen, because you meet a lot of people, third hyphen, and on and on and on, as many pairs of hyphens enclosed surrounding as many pairs of hyphens as you wish to have surrounded by curly braces. So here we have this first one here, hyphen enclosed by a pair of curly braces. What does that mean? It means that at this point, you should have a sub question. There is a sub question here. Nigeria is A or an country. And what are the options for this sub question? You have that in the very first column after the question column. So let's look at the options for the first sub question of our closed question. Beautiful, ugly, bad, horrible. So 1 is the correct answer for the first gap. Now, which is the answer? Which one is the answer? You find tildes, this wavy symbol is a tilde, okay? Now, the answer, the correct answer is preceded by 2 equal to signs. So if I have this now, I know that beautiful is the answer because in front of it are what? 2 equal to signs. That tells me that beautiful is the answer. So that's what you have for everything. It doesn't really, you don't need to bother yourself trying to shuffle the answers. Just give the correct answer. Let the first option there be the correct answer for all your sub questions. Okay, so 2 equal to signs to show that visit is the answer. So I'm going to use 2 equal to signs before visit, that is the answer. And for other options, just use a tilde in front of each. Okay, so the second gap in the question, so this is the second gap. I'll go to the second column after the question column. You see that I have visit, escape, escape from, run away, abandon. Visit is the answer. The third gap here, I'll go to the third column after the question column. So that's people, animals, robots, corrupt leaders. And you can guess the correct answer, people, because it is preceded by a pair of equal to signs. So that's how you continue. But make sure they are in order. So the first gap there, we'll take the first column after the question column. The second gap, we take the second column after the question column. The third gap, we take the third column after the question column, and on and on and on it goes. Now you might wonder, what's this? You have an asterisk followed by a P that is preceded by another asterisk. This here is to implement a paragraph. So if I wish to have 2 line breaks, for example, that's a paragraph really, I would use this here. Just, you don't need to worry, you don't need to bother yourself. Just have an asterisk followed by a P, followed by another asterisk. This would become something, just something like this, guys. Sorry. It will become something, this will just come down. It just becomes something like this. Oh, that can be done here. All right, so at that point where you have the P surrounded by asterisk, the text from that point will be brought down 2 lines after what you have in front of it. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that's that, guys. Our questions are ready. Our Moodle questions are ready for import. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to import these questions into Moodle. That will be something for another time in our next video. I hope we learned something today. So guys, you make sure you visit the website, the tutora.com.ng. Precisely, you have the tutora.com.ng/Moodle. Let me share the screen for that. The tutora.com.ng/Moodle/Excel.php. You find the documentation I went off for a moment there. So just click on any question type. You find instructions on how to prepare them on your Excel sheet, calculated with, without units. All right, thank you very much for taking out time to benefit or gain something from this tutorial. I'll see you guys in the next video.